afraid it's a bit untidy.
So, what is it? It's alright. Thank God, thank God.
Don't slip on the steps.
I don't want another broken wrist.
There's just a few in here, but
yeah,
if I go further around.
Yeah. God, these massive cows. Jesus Christ, they're huge. Right. I don't want to catch something. So what do you call this? Your barn? What is this called? What do you call this?
A cubicle building, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. The cow's house. Is it a cow's house? No? Do you want me to say that, Sophie? Right, I'm good.
Yeah, so they sleep in that bit. And
See, it's their house. This is definitely their house. I'm convinced. I'm going to say, don't laugh at me. I'm going to say we're in the. Look, I can't say it's the cow's house. You don't like that, do you? You don't like it? Right, I'm good. Right, John, we're in amongst your cows. We all know you're a dairy farmer, but I guess what does life look like on the farm? What is a day in the life of John Lund on the farm?
well, early starts really,
Yeah.
because all these girls want milking first thing in the morning. So we start about 5:15, and quite often, as you can see, they're all lying in the beds, which they are first thing in the morning. So you have to wake them up.
Dear.
Yeah. So some as soon as they hear the milking machine start, they're off ready to milk. But others you have to wake them up and get them there. So we bring them all out of this building and take them up towards the milking parlour where they milk. And the beds which they're lying on, we clean them off and put sawdust on so it's nice and comfy for them.
I did wonder, do cows sleep standing up or sitting down? I did wonder, do you know what I mean?
Both really. Yeah, both really. Yeah.
So how many cows do you have on the farm?
Well, altogether, cows which we milk, which is this group here, there's about 200, just under 200. And then in the next door building, just over there, they aren't milking at the moment, but they're in calf, so they're due to calve in sort of the next month or so, some of those. Yeah.
So you know, like obviously you're milking in the morning, I guess milking in the afternoon. It's a huge amount of work, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And so like racing stock cars. So you know, in your heyday, you were doing 80+ meetings a year. How did you do that? Because now drivers go, it's like a full-time job doing 40 meetings. So how did you do 80 meetings a year?
Well, when I first started, our local track was at Nelson.
Yeah.
And it didn't start till 7:30 in the evening, and we could just about finish milking and get to Nelson for the start of the meeting. So it didn't really affect work too much. Rochdale on a Sunday, I used to have the Sunday afternoon off, but I'd always work Saturdays and Sundays in the morning, Sunday morning. And I suppose in the beginning we very rarely went to Coventry or Leicester or the tracks further away. Aycliffe on a Sunday, still work on a Sunday morning and try and get everything done, and then you're dashing off to Aycliffe, setting off about 11:30, 12, to get there. I know I've got a bit of a reputation for always being late, but it's just work, you had to do work first,
So I guess looking back, and you're doing that many meetings, life on the farm is busy. Like, it's a huge impact on you, I guess, yourself and your family, isn't it? In hindsight, would you have done anything different, or were you happy with that?
No, I don't think I would have done really. I mean, I've made lots of mistakes in my life, done things which probably shouldn't have done. Yeah. But I think you'll learn from them, and it makes you who you are,
Okay, I'm just have a quick look. I wrote something down to ask you. So, like moving away from the farm, busy. Do you get time to do anything else? Any other hobbies or interests, or is it just the farm?
No, it's probably just farms and stock cars, really. Yeah, more recently, we've been on converting a barn.
Yeah.
That's interesting, but I'd like to spend more time doing it, but I just can't, you know.
Because this takes up.
Yeah, and obviously I've got to keep farming to you know, make a bit of money to pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know, like, when, you know, hopefully it's a long time away, you know, when you do retire from Formula 1 stock car racing, do you think you'd go and watch as a spectator, and, you know, do you think you'd have that interest to go and just turn up at a Bradford and sit there and watch some cars go around in a circle?
Well, it's the people as well, isn't it? Yeah. You know, over the years there's, you know, lads you've, you know, got to know and made friends with, and if I didn't go I wouldn't see them. Yeah. And obviously the racing as well, you know, I enjoy watching the racing, but I do find it frustrating because I'd rather be doing than watching the actual racing part. But, you know, just meeting lads who I've raced against, you know.
It is, and that's the thing about stock cars, isn't it? It's like a huge, big, extended family, isn't it, of people that you've known for years and years and years.
That's right. And then you get big meetings like World Finals where drivers from years ago turn up. You haven't seen them for 10, 15 years, you know. And it's just like yesterday, you know. You know, you get talking.
John, thank you very much. I'll let you carry on with your cars for a bit, and we'll do a bit more in a second.
All right. Yeah. Good.
Do you reckon you wouldn't recognise them, would you? Just know them by the number they've got on them.
Oh, the majority of them you get to know. Yeah.
Right. Do you know, like, when you put numbers on them, do you think, oh, that's Chris Cowley? That's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Cowley.
Yeah. I don't know. I was going to say Rob Cowley. I thought it's Chris Cowley now, isn't it? I don't know why. There's always 70. I'm sure it's 70.
Yeah, we've been putting. All the cows used to have names at one time, you know, like Dorothy or Snowy or whatever, or Dorothy 2.
Yeah.
But then it just got. Well, you need to have some sort of record of what goes on, you know. So the numbers on the bum, the freeze branding, that's a good way of recognition. And we started with number 1, obviously, when we started, and we've been up to 1,000, and we're back down to number 1 again now.
So do you think to yourself with number 1, like, oh, you can only have this if you're world champion? Is that what you think?
It's got to be a special.
Yeah, it's a special one.
It's got to be special, yeah.
Good. But everybody does, you know what I mean? I think, you know, with stock car numbers, everybody's like,
you associate them with something,
I always do. It's like, you look at a time and you go, oh yeah, it's done on time now. I can get up. You know what I mean? I don't want such a car. They're very big. They're very gentle though, aren't they? Like you said, they are like really gentle.
Yeah. The only time that they'd perhaps be a bit aggressive is if they're just carved, you know. Yeah. And you were protecting the car.
So will they go outside today, or were they just staying here now?
No. We up until 2001 when the foot and mouth thing was on, we used to graze them outside in the summer. Yeah. But in winter at this time of year they'd be in all. Yeah. It's just, you know, the ground is too wet for them to go outside. It just makes such a mess. Yeah. But in 2001, because of the restrictions put upon us by, you know, animal health and all this, a lot of our lambs across the road there have to go to the other side. Right. And we had to put a rubber belt on the road and put disinfectant on, stop all the traffic, let the cows across. Right. And it was just hard work. Yeah. So we ended up keeping them in during that summer. Yeah. And it was so much easier, and the cows were happy, you know. Yeah. So since then we've kept them in, really, the milking ones. Yeah. But once they're dry and not milking, in calf, and the young ones, they all go outside. Yeah. Yeah. But they like it, really, I think. Yeah. But if they got out, if we left the gate open, which does sometimes happen, they get out, you know, they'll go for a charge round and make a big mess everywhere, then they come back in.
You wanted a bit of play? Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, scatter a bale of straw like that there, they'll make sure they've spread that just about everywhere.
I find this fascinating, you know, this whole thing just fascinating.
They all have the majority of them, one. You know, there's a choice of all these, but always pick the same one if they can. Oh yeah. Yeah, the creatures of habit very much.
But I did wonder what, do you know what I mean?
If another cow nicks their bed, you'll
do you know, kick it off in pen 3 again, do you know?
I'll like them out. Yeah. 4:30 in the morning when you get back.
Yeah.
And you're starting again at 5:15.
Yeah. Do you tend to sleep on the, because you're famous for sleeping on the bus, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Do you get your head down as soon as you're done?
Quite often I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when we get back from Kingsley, I'll get off the bus.
Yeah.
Change into my working clothes, have a brew, and then it's time to start again.
It's like it never happened.
Like it never happened, yeah.
Right, we're going to see your calves.
Yep.
Is this Stephen's van?
Stephen's van. Snow.
Oh, we've had like every weather since we've been up here yesterday. Like wind, rain, snow, sunshine. John, we're with your calves. I think we're both good-looking men. However, these are very, very attractive young animals behind us. How old are these?
They're about 5 weeks old, these. Yeah. They're all, these blue ones are Belgian blue calves, and the others are Angus, all crossed with the Frisian.
So when we walked in, they were all asleep, and now they've all woke up because they all want to be on camera, don't they?
They're very nosy.
Right, we're going to stand in here and we're going to talk about your rivalries. You know, throughout your career, you've had some great rivalries with other top drivers in the sport. Which one stands out for you as being, I guess, the most intense, or the one that sticks in your mind the most?
Through the time, I suppose, myself and Frank, Andy Smith, Bobby Burns for quite a while. Yeah. He was a hard driver, and other drivers who want to win. You know, if you both want to win, there's only going to be one winner at the end of it.
Of course.
So you have to battle it out. But I think, you know, we've never really had crosswords off the track.
Yeah.
We've, you know, if one of us had a lot of damage and needed a spare part, you know, it's there. You take it, you know.
I think you mentioned the rivalry with, it's a really hard word to say, rivalry with Frank, and I think that's the one that sticks out for me. Just, I mean, that's the one that really impinges on me. And it was almost like when he came into Formula One, you were at the top of the sport, and he came in going, I want to be number one, and he almost had to take you on to get that crown, if you like. Is that how you saw it?
A little bit, but before Frankie came into sport, I was racing against his dad, actually, and his dad was, you know, points champion for quite a few years, and it was only when I won the world final that year that I actually took the points championship off his dad, really. So I suppose for young Frank, you know, it was like sort of a double-sided thing for him, you know, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I do understand that. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, and usually, you know, I try. If somebody gets me, I think, you know, that's a bugger. I'll get them back. But I try not to do it when it's going to affect anything. Yeah. But that in 1995, that Stoke meeting you've mentioned, I suppose I must have been quite cross because I got him back, and I shouldn't have done. I should have just left him alone, raced on, got some points, and would have been all right. But I didn't. I wasted that meeting, really, you know, which big mistake, wasn't it? Yes,
that 95 meeting at Stoke, it was that iconic points battle. There was you, Andrew and Frank, and all three of you could have won it, and you went into Stoke. We'll play the clip now. Went to Stoke, and you and Frank had that big kind of coming together in the final. And Frank took you in, and then you took him in the national. Were you just going out in that Grand National to take him out? Was that your intention?
I don't think it was when I first went out, but I just saw my opportunity. Yeah. And made the most of it, I suppose, where I shouldn't have done. I should have kept my cool and raced on. Got a place in the Grand National, some points, but that'd be boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. And the thing is as well, it sticks in people's minds. Absolutely sticks in people's minds. So the rivalry with Frank, was it very much on track? I know you've mentioned earlier, you know, you like to keep the racing on track, and what goes off track is nothing to do with it. So was it all on track? Was it a friendly rivalry?
I think it was pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Shall I ask him?
Yeah, ask him.
Yeah, well.
Ask him. Yeah, we never fell out really. No.
Because then we move it forward 25 years. Because at the time, you know, I remember you and Frank going at it week in, week out. And as a fan, you just see that. You see this intense rivalry. You don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, I guess. And then 25 years on, you know, first and second like consolation semi-final at Sheffield, and he couldn't have been more pleased that you'd got a second place. He just couldn't have, you know, he was so happy.
No, I think you race against somebody all the time like that. You do respect each other, you know.
Yeah.
You've got to do, and you've got the same interests and same ambitions in a way. So you probably, in some respects, quite similar, you know. So you know, why would you fall out, really, you know?
Yeah, it's only stock car racing, isn't it? So you know, we were talking a minute ago, and you said you knew when you had to get a driver back. Did you have like a mental list? So when you turned up at a race meeting, you think, oh, I owe him one, or was it just as it happened on track?
No, I didn't really think I'll get him sometime, but just occasionally, you know, somebody had done something and the opportunity to arise, and you'd maybe, that's payback for then, you know. But I'd never go out of my way to do it, really. No.
Yeah.
No.
I remember I wasn't there. I remember the clips on YouTube. Richard Pratt at Northampton. Was that a similar kind of, you owed him one for something?
Oh, that was a bit different, really. I think.
Was it?
Richard seemed to make a habit of trying to get me,
right, okay.
and he got me really well at Northampton. And that was a similar thing in the Grand National. I just happened to catch him up just at the wrong time for Richard, and put him in the fence, really, but just exactly where he'd got me, you know. Yeah.
Were you pleased with that one?
Well, it was just one of them.
So talking about before Frank, there was Peace Folding, and that kind of rivalry seemed to revolve around the race for the silver roof, and that's kind of where it came from, wasn't it? You were both trying to get the silver roof.
Trying to get the silver, yeah. Yeah, but that was all on track, really.
Yeah.
We never fell out as people, no.
Was that different to Frank? You know, because that, you know, sort of like I say, the silver roof battle, wasn't it, for the pair of you?
No, similar thing, really. Yeah, same sort of thing.
So we've spoken about this off camera, and you don't remember, but Ian Higgins, when we spoke to him in his off-track interview, he said he had a rivalry with you when he came into the sport for whatever reason. I can't remember why, but you don't seem to remember that. But you lent him your car at the 1988 Henderson War final.
Yeah, I can't remember us being particularly having any coming together, really. No, and he needed a car, and he'd won the semi. I think it was at Crewe. So, you know, he was on the front row, and I had a spare car there. Something wrong with this, so why not? Yeah.
Did you like his massive hands that he had? Can you remember?
I can remember them. Yeah. I mean, he set off in that world final looking like he was going to win it, didn't he?
Yeah. And when we've done the off-track interviews, we've kind of said to drivers, who's the hardest driver you've ever raced against? And 9 times out of 10 people go, John Lund. Why do they say that, do you think?
I have no idea. I don't know, really. I don't know. No.
They say you're really hard to pass, like really hard to get by, and then, you know, really difficult. You put them in if you get the opportunity. So maybe that's it.
Well, if they pass you, it's one. I try to race defensively, because if they pass you, they're going to beat you, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't really go out of my way to bury. I'd rather just put them wide and have them come back behind me and hold everybody else up, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's more the art of it, really.
Yeah.
I think the hardest driver I've raced against really was Burnsy, really.
Okay.
Because he was difficult to pass, and if you knocked him wide, you'd to be sure that you had enough distance between him and you before the next bend, or else there's one thing for sure you weren't going to get around it, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, we used to queue up for your start money after the race at all the tracks really, but at Boston I think we had a real ding dong, you know, and he was in front of me in the queue, in the money queue, you know, and he was right cockney. Lange, you got me then. But we were laughing about it, you know. Yeah. But it was quite cross, I think, at the time.
Was it? Brilliant. And I think you're talking about that, and I guess the last bit on talking about rivalries is that's what fans go to see, isn't it? You know, I remember with you and Frank, I can't miss next week just in case you do something with Frank, or it's almost like we need that back a little bit in stock cars, don't we? We need that friendly rivalry, I think. Do you agree?
Yeah, but I don't know. It comes down, a lot of it's, I don't know why really. Cost a bit as well, isn't it? Yeah. I suppose how much it costs to fix them, and tyres and all this carry on. Yeah. But yeah, the rivalry is probably what sells the sport to the people who watch, isn't it?
You've absolutely played your part in that, so thank you very much on that one. Even though it must have cost you a lot of time in the garage fixing it.
Oh, but it's only metal, isn't it?
Yeah.
As long as nobody gets hurt, that's the main thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Brilliant. Right, we're going to see your calves over there now, is that alright?
Yeah, of course you can.
Right, it's snowing outside, so we've come in here because the fire's on, but Sophie and Stephen stood in front of it. I don't know why we've come in here now because we can't get any heat. Anyway, you've raced loads in the UK, but you've also raced overseas, both in Holland and New Zealand. If we talk about Holland first and the long track, it's a very different type of circuit to what we race on, just because of its size. I'm guessing you must have enjoyed racing on there. We've spoken about Hednesford and liking the big tracks.
Well, Barlow was something else really, the length of the track and also the welcome of the Dutch people, you know, they were really pleased to see you and, you know, made a big effort to welcome you there. But the track itself was something else, you know, you're going around on, at that time, LD axles off a milk float, you know, and you're doing past the start-finish line about 140 mile an hour, something ridiculous like that.
Were you scared? A little bit?
Because the track's so big, you didn't really get the impression, you know, it was like you're going half as fast again as you would do here, but the track was a lot bigger, so you didn't get that impression of speed as much. But it was worse. I think Peter won it one year and it was really wet and there was puddles all the way down the straight, and you hit the puddle and you were like aquaplaning and you couldn't see the car in front of you. It's like just a big cloud of spray, and how on earth Peter drove as he did and won that race, I have no idea. But I think I was second, but I was really struggling. And you know, you pass a car and there'd be another car there and you hadn't seen it, and but it was a hell of a track, really.
So you know, you mentioned sort of Peter, and I guess when a lot of the British drivers went over, they were building long track specials. That's what happened. Did you didn't build one, did you? Or did you consider doing it, or?
No, I never considered building one, but the year that I won it, Graham Barr, who I was friendly with, was from New Zealand. He came over and he stayed here for a couple of weeks before the long track, and we basically took the car in pieces and rebuilt it as light as we could, because we thought that was the way forward, you know. And well, I was lucky enough to win it, you know, that year. So, but thanks to Graham as much as anything, because hours he spent in here just messing with the car.
And he built your barn for you. The same. At a different time.
His mum and dad came over, and his uncle, and we've had quite a few during the summer. We're quite often doing something with the buildings, and New Zealanders quite often have been over at the same time and helped us, and Bryce Penn, and quite a lot really. Scotty Myers has been here, and
very fortunate.
So
you know, we're speaking about the Dutch drivers, and we'll come to New Zealand in a second. So they now seem to be very much on a par with the English drivers. At one time there was a bit of a difference, and I guess the British drivers were more competitive. But now when the Dutch come over, you wouldn't know, and they stand a good a chance as us.
Oh yeah, definitely. The last the World Final meeting, they're flying around, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been to New Zealand a number of times to race. When I've spoken to drivers about going to New Zealand, they've described it as being just on another level to what we've got in terms of stock car racing, in terms of the crowd or the brutality of it. Did you enjoy racing New Zealand?
New Zealand, the first thing I knew about New Zealand was somebody rang me from the Brisker, would I be prepared to lend my car to a New Zealand driver. This was in the sort of 84, 85. The World Final that year was at Bradford, and Ian Easton from New Zealand came and drove my car. Oh, if you ever come to New Zealand, you have to come and see me and all this. And then I won the World Final myself, 1987, and I got the opportunity to go, you know. So what an eye-opener, really, yeah. We arrived in New Zealand, and we'd hired, there's quite a few of us went in the end. I think there was perhaps 9 of us. We'd hired a camper, which was only really a 4-berth thing in Auckland Airport, and the first meeting was in Hawke's Bay, which is about halfway down the North Island. So when you're going down from Auckland, it's over to the left, if you know what I mean. So you go down to Taupo, which is in the middle, and then you go over to Hawke's Bay, where we set off in this diesel camper. And I ended up driving for some reason, and we got to Taupo with about half a tank of diesel. Oh, we've plenty, we'll be all right. So we set off, and it's evening, you know, to get to this meeting at Hawke's Bay, and we'll be able to fill up on the way, you know. And you go up mountain range, you think, oh, well, it's on the coast, Hawke's Bay, we'll go over this mountain range, we'll be able to see. And it was just a big valley and another mountain range and another, and this thing was on empty, not a fuel station in sight anywhere. We were freewheeling down hills. Anyway, we got there eventually, and we got to the meeting, and the promoters from Palmerston also promoted at Hawke's Bay, so I had to go and meet them, you see, and they were on the centre green. So they said, oh, well, we'll go on the centre green and meet them in a minute. We just have to watch this race first. We stood next to the pit gate, and it's a concrete wall, and we were stood on the wall. And a car got put into the fence there, and you never heard the bang, and the concrete wall all shook. Oh my God, what have I let myself in for here, you know? And then we went on to the centre green, and I met the 2 promoters on the centre green. You know, they're really nice, very welcoming, you know. I know we've set you up to drive a car in the last race of the meeting, you know, and it was a local lad's car, and I got in this car, and it was the most uncomfortable. The steering was really heavy, and I really struggled with it. Oh God, if this is going to what New Zealand racing is going to be like, I'm not going to like it at all. Anyway, that night we stayed at their house on their lawn in this camper van, and I slept on the front seats. And I was woke up by the sun blazing through the windscreen at about 5 o'clock. I'd only just shut my eyes. and he worked at a local sawmill, so during the day took us around the sawmill, which was all good, and we stopped there all week, you know. And then the following weekend was their New Zealand champs, which was at Gisborne, just the next track up really, and we went watching there. And I'd already met the Barrs a little bit, and anyway, Graham got taken out at this meeting and hurt his shoulder, so I came across and said, you know, would you like to race my car? So I had to regretfully tell the other lad, you know, it's sorry, but I'm going to race Graham's car. Oh, I understand, you know, it's all right, I'll be able to race it myself now. So I raced Graham's car, which was an absolute different animal altogether. It was a brilliant car, and I was lucky. I won quite a few races, really enjoyed it. But since then, the racing over there has got far, far more competitive. The engines, they now are using Toyotas and V8s, and they're tuned and they're fast, as fast as ours virtually, producing plenty of horsepower and very competitive. It's good racing.
So I don't think I really understood that. You know, they cost a lot of money, and they do seem to create a lot more damage than what we do.
And they also, even individual races, like the New Zealand Champs, which is an individual championship really, if a driver's doing well from a particular track, the drivers from that track will help him out, so it's like teams racing at every opportunity. Well, if you were an English lad, you were basically against the New Zealand team, really.
Because that's normal, isn't it, in their racing? I was talking to somebody from New Zealand prior to the World Final last year. They were sort of talking about, would a back marker take out the leader? And we're kind of going, no, that's not what we do.
You wouldn't do it here, would you?
No, it's just kind of like an unwritten rule. We don't do that. But New Zealand, it's quite commonplace.
Oh yeah, they'll sit and wait and take them out, and
loosely connected to New Zealand, so we're kind of going off on a bit of a tangent, but I spoke to Kev Smith last year, who's now resided in New Zealand, and obviously talking to him, we spoke about that infamous Skegness semi-final in 1991, so I'm just going to play you that clip and you can share your memories of that particular race.
Last roars of encouragement from the terraces to their favourites as they come under starters' orders. They've got the green and the race is on. And the battle for the first turn develops with John Lund leaning hard on Nigel Wharton, and they're in the fence. There's an almighty shunt on that time, Ben Beresford. Lund and Wharton have gone.
That particular semi at Skeggy, I got off to not a bad start from Paul, and Kev Smith just pulled out a brilliant move, really. Took out about half a dozen of the cars in front of him for the lead. Brilliant move. And left us all floundering in the fence. I was fortunate I had too much damage and could get going, and I think I managed to finish, I think I finished 7th in the end. Something like that, which on the World Frown grid, once you've included the foreigners, got me back to about 10th.
Yeah.
But they're still there, and I'm still in it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
But isn't it? We've spoken quite a lot about iconic stock car moments and things that stick in your mind, and that absolutely does, isn't it? People still refer back to that Kev Smith semi-final. And it's like I say, his opportunity was to take everybody out on the front row, and he did it.
Off he went. Brilliant move, yeah.
So talking about drivers taking other drivers out, there's a rumour, so 98 World Final, who was it? Stan Hickey was in the World Final and took you out when you were leader. He was racing a Frank Raymond Jr. car at the time, and the rumour is the following year you went to New Zealand to exact a bit of revenge. Is that true? No, not really. I think, I mean, I've spoken to Stan Hickey quite a bit since and before. I know him quite well. And he would be racing as he does back home in New Zealand, where the teams race. And if one of the members of their team's doing well, they try and slow down the opposition if they can, so that the victory goes back to their club, because they sort of race for a track or a club, you know. And Stan at that time, he was racing for Rotorua. Yeah. But when he came over here, he'd probably feel, you know, he's racing Frank's car. If I can help Frank, I will do, you know. Yeah. So that's what he did quite effectively, really. And I just went to New Zealand, not with a view of taking Stan out or anything like that, just to take part, you know. And I was asked to go, and I enjoy it over there. And you know, it's particularly in January when the weather's like it is today, snow and horrible. Over there it's sunny, and the New Zealand people are so welcoming and friendly, make you feel so much at home, you know. And then during their 240 World thing at Palmerston, I just happened to catch up with Stan just at the wrong time for him, really. And managed to put him up the wall, which it just happened as it happened. I didn't particularly go out there to do him, you know, but the opportunity arose, and I remembered that. Yeah, I owe you one. Yeah, might as well do it now. Absolutely.
I just sideswiped him into the wall and carried on, you know. Which I think, if you're going to do something like that, you don't want to go in with them. No. You know, I think if you can put somebody away, sort of thing, and just carry on. Yeah. That's what stock cars is, isn't it? But if you follow them in, I don't think that's. No, I've done it odd times, but it's not something
have you followed someone
proud of, really. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. Can you remember?
The one we were speaking about, Frank at Stoke, probably. Yeah. But it would have been better I'd left Frank stranded there and just carried on, wouldn't it? And perhaps won the race would have been a good outcome, wouldn't it? But
Stuart Smith told me a story. Stuart Smith Jr. told me a story at Bellevue. And he was racing with you or something, and you put him on a post and you went on to win, and he says that he got out of the car at the end of the race and the tractor was taking him off, and you went around on the victory lap and you just like nodded at him as you went past and like gave him a little wave, and he said, you know, it's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? For you, it's a brilliant stock car. You put him in the fence, left him on a post, and went on to win the race. And it was just, what can you do with that? It's just fantastic.
Did he tell you he just about had me on a post a couple of laps before?
He did, yeah. He did mention that as well, yeah.
So it's just swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Absolutely. My last question, I guess, about New Zealand and Holland. Any intentions to go and race overseas again, or is the farm just kind of a bit too busy for that at the minute?
Farm and age.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it comes to us all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Okay, lovely. Maybe though. We'll say it's a maybe.
It's a maybe. I'd love to go to Holland again, you know. Yeah. And see because I've never raced on the, you know, on Texel. I'd love to do that, but it's time. And
it's supposed to be a fantastic weekend, that is, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
So maybe put it in your diary.
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Stephen Lawson, and I'm a mechanic for John now for just short of 23 years. Most memorable moment, I guess there's lots of them, but one that does stand out in your memory was 2010 World Final. First corner, big pile up, car were bent, axle bent, etc. And we were in the middle of Coventry Stadium fixing the car. And I recall Simon Benyon, who was steward, flagman, whatever his position was called at the time, coming over, and he's like, "That's it, you're done." And I think I recall saying to him, "Look, are you going to tell all these fans that we're not going to get this car fixed for another minute, for giving us another minute?" And he walked away. He gave us another minute, and the reaction of the crowd when we were the last car to fire up and drive back onto the grid was just a goosebump moment, which is what we all do, what we do for. Time we've laughed the most, seem to remember one that stands in my head. We were coming back through Bradford late one night, Kings Lynn or somewhere like that, and I'm not sure whether it was a drunk or whatever was walking the street, and there was something, and we all just in tears laughing. I honestly can't remember what it was, but it was one of them moments, if you asked Annette or whatever, she'll remember that night, that whatever the incident was, that you just laugh and it stands in your head all the time. Time I've been most disappointed, I don't know, it's difficult. It comes with the territory, doesn't it? There's always disappointments with stock car racing. That's the nature of the sport. There's not one that sort of stands in your head. They're all, if we've done this, if we've done that, things would have turned out different. But then you've got to look at the good points as well, that all outweigh the disappointments. So there isn't really one that stands in my head. The longest I've known John sleep on the transporter, well, normal service would be within 5 minutes of leaving the farm. He'd be hard and fast asleep, sat in corner on seat, leant against the window. We'd pull into services, get some fuel, he'd wake up, hand you a wad of cash, and by the time you'd pilt jerry cans up, he were back asleep, and then you'd lightly roll into Coventry pits, and you were parked in pit road in queue, and he'd wake up and, "Oh, we're here." And that's basically the whole journey. And pretty much similar for a Kings Lynn, asleep, wake up for fuel for the car, Shell garage wherever we pass, and he wakes up when we get to stadium. And that's a pretty much the norm. Best thing about being John Lund's mechanic, God, I haven't got a clue. It's just, you enjoy doing it. It's the atmosphere. It's all those moments like Odsel when he came out on the gold car, that just goosebump moments that makes it all worthwhile. That's but nothing that sort of stands in your head. How would I describe John in 3 words? I think the best way of putting it is, as Oliver, my little boy, says, it's just Farmer John. That's it, just Farmer John. Obviously, stood in the background here, the rally tyre side of obviously what most people know me for now. I've got stuff all the time. Let me know, we'll get it to a track somewhere for you. Most of you know how it works, so thank you very much.
We're in Gary Tressler's workshop talking to Colin Bunyard around a John Lund car that he's acquired. So Colin, I recognise the name, not necessarily from Formula One, more from, I guess you started with stocks cars, you went UK modifieds, and then how did we get to today?
Well, I've always wanted to get into heritage, and a friend of mine said that John's got a car in his barn that would be suitable, so I went up and saw it. Had a walk across the field with John to have a look, and said, "Yeah, we'll have that." So
how did that first phone call go, though? Because like you pick up the phone, it's John Lund that you're ringing. Do you know what I mean? Was that an easy conversation?
Yeah, he's very approachable. Yeah. He couldn't have been more helpful, and the net was great as well. We spent about an hour in the kitchen talking about the car and sorting some bits out. for when we collected it. So yeah, he was really helpful.
Okay. So was he happy for you to kind of go up and take it? Was it kind of, how did he react? I want to.
Yeah, he asked me what I wanted to do with it, and I said I want to put it back on track as an original. Hopefully get him back in it at some point. So yeah, we had a good conversation about the car.
So how long ago was that?
It's got to have been about 3 years ago now, since we originally went up there. Yeah.
And so since that time you've had it at Gary's, I'm guessing, and sort of slowly getting it back to how it was?
Yeah, it's been, we've done a lot of work on it, and it has taken its time, because of the COVID, and we both work full time, so yeah.
So which car is this one? Which car? Because there's lots of Lund cars, but from mine, this is that. He went to that short wheelbase. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? This is that one, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the short wheelbase. I think he lengthened it in 1991 for the World Final. But John said to me when I picked it up, he said if he'd had more time, he could have got this to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So when I was talking to John over yesterday it was now, whenever he talked about his cars or about anything he'd done, it's that really slow, kind of thoughtful, methodical, like working it through. And I can see that from what you're saying, that he would have got it to work, but he just needed that time, didn't he?
Yeah. I think he was that busy at the farm at the time. He just didn't have the time to play around with it the way he wanted to.
So in terms of doing the refurb and getting it back to how it was, what are you kind of going off? Is it pictures? Is it John? What's kind of been the...
John's helping, we've been emailing Net, and she's been passing messages on and sending them back to me. But we were mostly working off photos. So, yeah.
And how original is it going to be? Is it going to be 90%, 100%? How close is it going to be, do you think?
It's going to be, I'd say, 95%. Yeah, we've got the original bonnets. The car is basically original. We've got half the rear axle. So yeah, there's a lot on it that is original.
Okay. And I guess a laborious process though for you guys.
Oh yeah, very hard car to work on. Trying to find out how it was back then. Yeah.
There doesn't look much room in there. It looks quite it
is a very small cab. We've had to lower the seat a bit just to get me in. So I think must have been very tight for John.
and I guess sort of timeline. How far away do you think you are from getting it? Because we're nearly there, aren't we? Absolutely, you recognise it, and you certainly when I walked in, it's like I know what that car is. Getting it sign written. Is that this year? Do you think?
Yeah, that'll be this year. Gary's got a few more jobs to finish, and then it'll be over to my workshop to spray it. And then sign written by the original sign writer. So it'll be good.
And plans for the future with it? What is it? To race in Heritage? To Dent Wheel? What's the plan?
It'll be racing Heritage. I'd love to see him on Biscuit tracks. Back on Biscuit tracks.
Yeah, and I guess aspiration as well. You want John Lund to come and sit in it as well and take it around.
I would love him to have a race with it. That's the aim.
Colin, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for letting us see kind of your progress and where you're up to. And I'm sure it would be another great car to have out on track for people that recognise and know John Lund.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Cheers, Colin. Thank you.